Hello friends, this is Diablo Dopamine, and this is my all-purpose beginner's leveling guide. It's not class specific. There's certain ways to optimize the leveling process in Diablo 4. For me, I don't really use leveling builds for class specific builds a whole lot. I don't have enough brain power to spec into a class specific leveling build and get all the passives and the legendary aspects, and then afterwards I normally end up just specking into a different endgame build that is also very specific. So what I do instead is I follow a set of principles that guide the leveling process. For me, the most dopamine rich leveling experience combines freedom with a few principles that optimize damage, resource management, speed, and survivability. Okay, so the first thing you should do when you're leveling is open up your map and see if you have any rewards to claim from previous characters. All of these will generally give you bonus experience points. Okay? The next thing you should do is if you have any obols, spend them and get the gear that you need. This is the easiest way to farm legendary aspects. If you don't have any obols, we'll go over that in a second, but sort of just go down the list from the gambler, get everything you can, and depending on your difficulty level, you'll get some gear. The next thing you want to do, before we even get into legendary aspects and all of that, is go to wherever the seasonal reputation board is going to be. And make sure you've completed your seasonal quest line so that you unlock, because all of the rewards for the seasonal reputation board usually aren't earnable until you've progressed up to a certain point in the seasonal quest line. That means if you keep leveling, you won't get those rewards until you complete it. And when you do, you want to get them because they really help the leveling process. Some of them just have flat experience tomes that you can buy. If you have any seasonal powers, be sure to equip those because those are going to make your damage go through the roof. Okay, why we should leave town. We don't need to stay in town. The town is lava. So there's a total of about 7 things you can do when you're in town. First one is going to upgrade your healing potions. As soon as you get to level 10, go over to the chemist. I usually pick Saragar as my favorite town because everything is the closest together in Saragar. And then once you hit level 10, you can buy that healing potion. Keep doing that every 10 levels. Second thing in town is to switch out and temper your gear if needed. If I've got a better mace, then I'll go over to the blacksmith, temper it, and leave. Then the other thing you want to do is repair your gear. The fourth thing you want to focus on is gems. If you have any gear, add some sockets, craft some gems. Whichever your core stat is the gem you want to use for your armor because that's going to raise your damage. And we're going to focus on damage mainly for the leveling process. For necromancers, it's going to be topaz. So we make some topaz, put it in our armor, and our attack power goes up, albeit a modest bit. Fifth thing you want to do is pop experience potions and incense if you have it. Experience potions are unlocked at level 20. Sixth thing you want to do that most people overlook is you want to refresh your legendary aspects. Okay, so let's talk about legendary aspects. The seventh thing you want to do when you're in town is fucking leave. Go to the Helltide, come back in about 5 levels, and repeat the checklist every 5 levels. Certain items are going to give larger multipliers to your offensive legendary aspects. Amulet is one of them. So I'm going to encourage people to put an offensive aspect on their amulet. My favorite offensive aspect is going to be the aspect of the Moonrise. Reason being is it mitigates the need for resource that you have in the early leveling experience. A lot of the times there's this trap of casting your core skill, which does higher damage, casting your basic skill, which does lower damage but refills your resource so you can cast your core skill more, and then every now and then casting your ultimate skill. What I do instead is I put all of my ranks into my basic skill that I'm going to focus on, and then I throw this either on an amulet or a two-hander because it's going to give you it can give you up to a 120% damage bonus for your basic skills. And it also gives you an attack speed bonus, which is important for our Runewords. So my favorite's to go with Moonrise. There's a bunch of class specific legendary aspects, such as the aspect of elements, the aspect of intercom. It just depends on what feels best for you. Some aspects, such as the accelerating aspect, focuses on attack speed, flat damage. Me personally, I think the best aspects focus on flat damage, elements, intercom, and I throw them on a two-handed offensive weapon usually. If you find an offensive legendary aspect for your class that's class specific, and especially if it benefits the eventual endgame build that you're going to follow, go ahead and take it. You want to use your core skill. It's useful to have a resource legendary aspect that goes onto your ring. points. My favorite aspect for resource is the Starlight aspect. It gives you resource every time you heal. So you want to temper life on hit on a different piece. Like right here on the knife I have, if I have a core skill that has a high lucky hit chance, like Bone Spear, then 75% of my hits are going to generate resource. The reason we do this mechanic is so that we don't have to use our basic skill as much. Me personally, I like to use the aspect of the Moonrise, but do what feels good for you. You can have up to 4 to 6 legendary offensive aspects on your build at a given time, depending on if you have a two-hander or not. I highly recommend using a two-hander because that doubles the legendary offensive multiplier. It can be up to 8 for a barbarian and 7 for a rogue. You can have up to 4 defensive legendary aspects at a given time. My top favorite is the aspect of Might. It gives you flat damage reduction every time you cast a basic skill. I cast basic skills a lot because I'm using the aspect of the Moonrise, so I end up using this aspect quite a bit. As far as stat priorities go, you want to find useless stats on your items like thorns and then reroll into something better. If you need defense, if you keep dying, prioritize defense. If you need damage because you can't kill enemies fast, prioritize core stat or flat damage. That's it. Don't overthink it. Don't get lost in the sauce. Put it on there and get out of town. Mercenaries are going to be useful, especially we're here to cap your armor early on. Runewords are some of the most useful mechanics of the game for leveling because they cast skills that scale with your level. The best rune of invocation I found is the Sur rune because it's magic, meaning it is easily farmable and it gives you 300 offering just for casting 5 skills. So this can scale with your attack speed. My favorite rune of invocation is the Ton rune. That's the rune that casts the sorcerer's meteorites. The reason being is because it requires very little offering and it melts enemies. For the skill tree, the first thing I like to do is put all the points I have into my basic skill. This gives me an immediate damage boost that makes it easier to farm on hard. Our main goal with the skill tree during the leveling process is to reach our key passive. That takes 33 skill points to spend. You should hit your key passive around level 33. Most core clusters in pretty much all classes have this essence cost for more damage on your core skills trade-off. I usually max that out first, and I usually pick the fastest core skill with the highest lucky hit chance that feels good for me at the time. It's important to pick a panic button skill. For the Necromancer, it's Blood Mist. This gives you immune. Sometimes there's skills like Trample on the Druid that gives you unstoppable for when you're in tight spots and you're about to die. As far as passive skills go, I like to take any damage passive before anything else. Damage to elites, damage to distant enemies. It just depends on what class you're using and what type of endgame build you're eventually going to be going for. Our ultimate skill is also a good panic button. It usually deals more damage than any other skill during the leveling process, but it has a big cooldown. So I save it for when I'm in a tight spot. For activities during the leveling process, I spend most of my time in the Helltide. The reason I do Helltide is because the longer time you spend killing enemies in the Helltide, the higher the mob density gets. You'll see that meter at the top right next to the cinders. The higher that meter is, the more dense the mobs are, and you'll get things like this big worm spitting out a bunch of monsters, etc. Another reason I use the Helltide is because it's always got at least 1 Whisper cache. Slaying the Blood Maiden is an automatic 5 Whisper points, and we also want to focus on getting Whisper Tree caches during the leveling process. Opening Helltide chests gives you little bursts of experience, so we want to do that as much as possible. It's also going to give you a chance to farm more legendary aspects to max out your codex. So in short, during the leveling process, you want to maximize damage and survivability, be able to deal the same amount of damage for a sustained period of time, whether that means having resources, legendary aspect on your ring, or just focusing all your damage on your basic skills like I do. Use Runewords, stay out of town for no more than 2 minutes at a time, and also temper flat damage always. Alright guys, that's about it. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you like this video, press that like button. If you like me, subscribe. Peace.